very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. These are the headlines we are tracking this Monday morning. High alert sounded in all metro cities across the country after intelligence inputs of a possible terror attack. Alert sounded after reports of a group of Lashkar-e-Taiba militants entering the country through the Gujarat border. One-man Judicial Commission submits report on Muzaffarnagar riots, blames intelligence failure and laxity on part of the police. Opposition parties slam report silence on Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav's failure to contain the riots. Congress announces alliance with United People's Party in Assam. UPP announces first list of 10 candidates. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says nation is always empowered by its women. In his address to the National Women Legislators Conference on Sunday, makes a strong pitch to use of technology to empower them. And India clinched the Asia Cup for the 6th time after defeating Bangladesh in the finals at Mirpur by 8 wickets on Sunday. Well, on a day when the country is celebrating Mahashivratri, security personnel have a tough task at hand to avert a possible terror attack. Intelligence inputs confirm that a group of Lashkar-e-Taiba militants from across the border have sneaked into India via Gujarat and are planning to strike different cities on the occasion of Shivratri festival. A high alert has been sounded in all metros, especially in the national capital. Security has been beefed in Gujarat as well, from where the terrorists are reported to have entered India. Additional security enforcements have been deployed as a precautionary measure. More details in this report. The fear of a possible terror attack seems to have gripped the Mahashivratri celebrations this year. A nationwide alert is in place, especially in Delhi and Gujarat, following intelligence inputs that at least 10 suspected Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed militants have entered the country via Gujarat. Massive security arrangements have been made to thwart any such attempts. 4 National Security Guard teams have been roped in to beef up security at vital installations across Gujarat, including the Somnath Temple. In view of the alert, the cultural program at the temple, held every year on Shivratri, has been deferred. Security agencies carried out widespread raids and combing exercises on Sunday, putting up checkposts on highways across the state. Stringent security checks are being carried out at all prominent places like the airport, railway stations, bus stations, temples and marketplaces across the state.
जो इंटेलिजेंस इनपुट मिला है ये शीर्षस्थ तरह का एक इनपुट है जिसकी संजीदगी को जिसकी जो है वेरीफायबिलिटी को हम पूरी इज्जत देते हैं। ये कल इनपुट हमें मिला है और उसके तहत तत्काल पूरे गुजरात राज्य की पुलिस टीम को सतर्क कर दिया गया है, सावधान कर दिया गया है। लगातार कोम्बिंग चल रहे हैं, चेक पोस्ट लगा दिए गए हैं और जो भी सिक्योरिटी सस्पेक्ट्स हैं उनकी छानबीन हो रही है और जो भी शंकास्पद विस्तार हैं उनकी भी छानबीन हो रही है।
Chief Minister Anandiben Patel said her government is geared up for the challenge.
जो सुविधाएं हमारी ओर से करनी थी सभी सुविधाएं हम लोगों ने कर दी है, कोई चिंता की बात नहीं है।
Security was stepped up in the national capital as well after the Delhi police received specific inputs about suspected militants entering the city. Security arrangements have been enhanced in all crowded areas, iconic buildings and military installations. Patrolling across the city has been intensified. Other metros in the country have also been put on high alert. In Kolkata, security was stepped up at the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International Airport after an email threat sent to an airport manager. Security has also been tightened in Jammu and Kashmir. On Friday, the BSF seized a Pakistan boat in the Koteshwar Creek area off the Kutch coast along the Indo-Pakistan border. Its occupants fled upon seeing the security personnel, but doubts of a few men having sneaked in haven't been ruled out by security agencies. The Indian Coast Guard has enhanced surveillance along the west coast, more specifically in the seas off Gujarat. More ships have been pressed into the sea for surveillance. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And amid the high alert, one militant was killed while an army soldier was injured in an encounter in South Kashmir's Kulgam district. The gun battle began after security personnel came under heavy firing from the militants hiding in a village in Kulgam district. The officers were conducting a search operation after receiving information of two militants hiding in that area. While the encounter is still underway, a massive cordon and search operation has been launched in the area. In some other news, the one-man Judicial Commission of Inquiry that went into the 2013 communal riots in Muzaffarnagar in Uttar Pradesh has blamed intelligence failure and laxity on part of the police for that violence. 62 people were killed in the riots that was triggered after two young men were murdered by a youth from a minority community back in August 2013. The report is, however, silent on the role of Akhilesh Yadav in the spread of the riots. The Justice Vishnu Sahai Commission's 700-page report was tabled in the State Assembly on Sunday. The report was critical of the media, accusing it of putting out exaggerated reports and spreading rumors that fueled violence. Opposition parties have reacted sharply to the report. The BJP has demanded a CBI probe, stating that the panel report is incomplete. Meanwhile, the Samajwadi Party, on the other hand, has said that the media is equally culpable. Other parties have said that Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav cannot be absolved of responsibilities as law and order is a state subject.
देखिए, अफसरों की भी गलती है, अफसरों की ही, बस यही तो है ना। आप आधा सच बताते हैं और आधा सच पूरे झूठ से खतरनाक होता है। मुजफ्फरनगर में आपने दंगा होता हुआ दिखाया, जलते हुए घर दिखाए, जलाने वाले आपने नहीं दिखाए, क्यों? हालांकि जलाने वालों की भी फोटो है आपके पास। आपने हत्या दिखाई, हत्यारा नहीं दिखाया, हालांकि हत्यारे की फोटो भी है आपके पास।
कि हम नहीं कह सकते कि इस रिपोर्ट को प्रभावित नहीं किया जा सकता, इसलिए हम इसको संदेह से परे नहीं कह सकते हैं। पूरी तरीके से सरकारी मशीनरी का फेल्योर था, सरकार की भी नीयत साफ नहीं थी। सरकार के समय समय पर ऐसे कई उदाहरण मिलते हैं कि जिसमें सरकार की अनदेखी भी थी और सरकार की नीयत के ऊपर भी प्रश्न उठाए गए, लेकिन सरकार ने उसका कभी कोई समुचित उत्तर नहीं दिया।
What's coming out in the media seems to indicate that there is an attempt to paint the blame only on the bureaucracy, which is not a correct approach, because the bureaucracy will function as per the political leadership, or it would mean that the political leadership has no control over the bureaucracy and there is no governance at all. It can only be one of the two.
मैं ये समझता हूं कि जो उस प्रदेश का मुख्य कर्ता धर्ता है वो मुख्यमंत्री हुआ करता है, जो कि अखिलेश यादव हैं। उनके रहते जब ये घटनाएं घटी हैं, मेरी निगाह में सबसे बड़ा दोष मुख्यमंत्री का बनता है।
जिस तरह से भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लोग लोकसभा चुनाव के बाद निरंतर इस प्रयास में थे कि जो पोलराइजेशन करने का था, सांप्रदायिक जहर घोलने का कार्यक्रम है, वो चालू रहना चाहिए। और ये सब पूरा का पूरा दंगा उसी के पूरी तहत हुआ है। ये भी हकीकत है अपनी जगह कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी इसके लिए पूरी तरह से दोषी है, लेकिन ये भी हकीकत है कि समाजवादी पार्टी उस दंगा रोकने में, उनको लोगों को सुरक्षा देने में पूरी तरह से नाकामयाब रही है। ये भी एक किस्म से हकीकत है।
Now, with barely a month to go for the assembly elections in Assam, political parties are doing all they can to consolidate their support. The ruling Congress party in the state has forged an alliance with the United People's Party in the Bodoland territorial area districts. Now, as per the understanding, the Congress will not contest 4 seats: Kokrajhar West, Kokrajhar East, Sidli and Chapaguri, leaving it for its alliance partner, the UPP. Besides this, there will be a friendly contest in 9 more seats where both the parties will contest, but with a mutual understanding. Some of these seats fall outside the Bodoland territorial area districts. These 9 constituencies include Gosaigaon, Barama, Tamalpur, Paneri, Bijni, Mazbat, Dhekiajuli, Udalguri and Kalyagaon. Soon after the alliance was formed, the UPP also released its first list of candidates for 10 constituencies.
We have decided to vote the party against the communal forces like BJP party and corrupt practice of BPF. So the people of BTC and people of Assam never support communal forces. That's why with the United People's Party headed by UG Burma और हम लोग एक साथ आज in the presence of Honorable Chief Minister CLP लीडर के साथ बैठकर हम लोग फैसला किया आउट ऑफ 120 विल कॉन्टेस्ट 122।
बीजेपी तो आसाम में परिवर्तन की बात करते हैं, लेकिन बीटीए में वो लोग परिवर्तन नहीं चाहते हैं, क्योंकि सबसे भ्रष्ट दल है बीपीएफ। वो बीपीएफ दल के साथ मित्रता किया। जो दल जो बीजेपी सारे इंडिया में परिवर्तन की बात करते हैं, वही अगर सबसे भ्रष्ट दल के साथ हाथ मिलाते हैं, उनसे क्या उम्मीद रख सकते हैं।
And let's also take a look at some other developments in the run-up to assembly elections in 5 states. The CPI has said that the left will not ally with the Congress in West Bengal. CPI National Secretary Amarjit Kaur said that there is no possibility of having a direct alliance with the Congress in the future as well. Kaur also claimed that it will be a direct fight between the left and the TMC in West Bengal as well as in Kerala. The ruling AIADMK conducted an interview of aspiring candidates ahead of the assembly polls slated for the 16th of May. The interviews were conducted in the presence of party supremo and Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha. The party claims it received more than 26,000 applications. The Tamil Manila Congress has said that it will announce a decision on an alliance in the second week of March. Party leader G.K. Vasan said that it still had time to work out an alliance. The TMC said that the centre should find a proper solution to the fishermen's issue and also on the release of 7 convicts in the Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. The Kerala BJP has claimed that JNU Students' Union President Kanhaiya Kumar's campaigning for the left will only damage the prospects of the Congress and the left and not the BJP. Kumannam Rajashekharan said that while the Congress and the left have a similar opinion on the JNU issue, the BJP has a completely different stand. Chief Election Commissioner Naseem Zaidi has said that technology will ensure that flying squads mandated to prevent malpractices do not turn a blind eye to complaints of electoral malpractices and reach the trouble spots without making excuses during the assembly polls. He informed that all vehicles allotted to flying squads will be equipped with GPS devices amid mounting complaints that these mobile teams often deliberately avoid reaching trouble spots. And moving on to some other news now. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari visited and supervised the ongoing works of renovation of the Qutub Shahi tombs in Hyderabad on Sunday. The restoration works at the 16th century Qutub Shahi tombs are being carried out by the Aga Khan Trust for Culture. The first phase of the project is likely to be completed by this year end, and the entire mission in the next 10 years. Telangana government to explore the possibility of attracting tourists to this spot, as these structures do not find required recognition on tourism maps. The 400-year-old tombs complex has 75 structures, including 23 mosques spread across large acres of land. Now, the Vice President, who is on a 2-day visit to Hyderabad, also addressed a national seminar in the city. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said yesterday that a nation is always empowered by its women. Modi said this while addressing the National Women Legislators Conference in New Delhi. However, the opposition parties criticized him for his silence on the Women's Reservation Bill, for which President and the Vice President had made a strong pitch on Saturday. Women representatives from both the Houses of Parliament, state legislative assemblies and councils attended the 2-day conference.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday stressed on the need of empowering women for the development of the country. While addressing the valedictory session of National Conference of Women Legislators in New Delhi, Modi said women should be strengthened more for a stronger India.
राष्ट्र को सशक्त बनाता है राष्ट्र का नागरिक, और नागरिक को अगर कोई सशक्त बनाता है, उसको अगर सामर्थ्यवान बनाता है, उसको अगर चरित्रवान बनाता है, तो मां बनाती है। उससे बड़ा राष्ट्र का निर्माण और कोई नहीं कर सकता।
Women representatives from both houses of parliament, state legislative assemblies and councils attended the 2-day conference that began on Saturday. Prime Minister Modi lauded women for their multitasking abilities and emphasized the need for change of mindset about the term women empowerment.
कि ये जो महिला सशक्तिकरण, ये मनोवैज्ञानिक अवस्था को बदलने की आवश्यकता मुझे लगती है। सशक्तिकरण उनका होता है जिनका सशक्त नहीं है, लेकिन जो इन सशक्त है उनका सशक्तिकरण कौन करेगा? और ये बात मेरे गले नहीं उतरती कि पुरुष होते कौन है जो सशक्त करेंगे।
The Prime Minister said that women have higher success ratio despite the fewer opportunities they get in comparison to men. He also remarked that women are better in adopting technologies than men and spoke of the enriching thoughts and views that he has been receiving through the MyGov platform and Narendra Modi app.
और मैं तो लोकसभा को, राज्यसभा को एक प्रार्थना करूंगा कि क्या आप विमेन प्रतिनिधि का एक प्लेटफॉर्म तैयार कर सकते हैं क्या, और उनकी जो बातें हैं वो ऑफिशियली लोकसभा राज्यसभा इस वेबसाइट को चलाएं, पूरे देश भर के महिला प्रतिनिधियों के लिए एक अवसर दिया जाए। देखिए, टेक्नोलॉजी की अपनी एक ताकत है।
The two-day conference hosted by Lok Sabha Speaker Sumitra Mahajan was attended by former President Pratibha Patil, Union Ministers Sushma Swaraj, Najma Heptullah and Maneka Gandhi, Gujarat CM Anandiben Patel, former Delhi Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit, Congress President Sonia Gandhi, among others. With inputs from Arvind Kumar Singh, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has said that his son Karti is being targeted because he is his son. Chidambaram has alleged that he is the real target and claimed that allegations of his son's undisclosed assets abroad are malicious and totally false. Chidambaram also asked the government to make a list of the alleged undisclosed assets abroad. He assured that his son will voluntarily execute any document necessary to transfer such assets to it for a nominal consideration of 1 rupee. In a statement, the former finance minister said, and I quote, "Media reports have alleged that Karti has built a huge empire in different parts of the world by making investment in real estate and engaging in other business activities in 14 countries. The reports also claim that this came to light through documents recovered during raids by the ED and investigation wing of the income tax in the Aircel Maxis scam." Unquote. For 2 days last week, Parliament was disrupted on the issue of alleged assets of Karti Chidambaram, with the AIADMK members demanding a probe. On Wednesday, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley assured Lok Sabha during a discussion on the issue, saying the government has no holy cows to protect.
चिदम्बरम का नाम उस समय उठा था जब यूपीए सरकार थी और चिदम्बरम साहब स्वयं एक मंत्री थे, और जहां तक मुझे याद आ रहा है पार्लियामेंट के सामने, संसद के सामने उन्होंने शायद कहा था जब प्रश्न उठे थे कि कानून अपना काम करेगा। यदि उन्होंने कुछ गलत नहीं किया तो कुछ घबराने की बात नहीं है। यदि उन्होंने कोई स्कैम्स किए हैं तो मुझे लगता है कानून को अपना काम करना चाहिए।
They will do everything. They will follow all tricks to cover their failure in the administration. People does not want them to continue in power. So they take all such steps to see that somehow they want to come back to power.
Time for a very short break here on Breakfast News. Do stay with us. Let's meet the saffron-clad Uma Bharti on its Wala.
ये मेरी जो भाभियां हैं ये प्रसन्न रहेंगी तो मुझे ठीक से खिलाएंगी, तो इसलिए मैं तो अपनी सारी भाभियों की चमचागिरी करती हूँ।
The most handsome MP in the present government, according to you?
मत कह लो यार, फिर दूसरे लोग गुस्सा करेंगे, जल मरेंगे, इसलिए इसको नहीं बताते। वेरी बबलिंग पर्सन, आप समझ गए? तो मैं उदास कोने में बैठ के तानपुरा बजाती हुई व्यक्ति नहीं हूँ। Watch me on It's My Life only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast News. On to news of beleaguered UB Group promoter Vijay Mallya now. An order is expected today by the Debt Recovery Tribunal in Bengaluru on an application filed by SBI seeking action against Mallya over defaulting of loans. Now, this comes as former employees of the defunct airlines have written to Mallya accusing him of damaging the image of the country. Now, Mallya in a statement has said he is not an absconder and is looking for a one-time payment to the banks.
The Debt Recovery Tribunal, or DRT, will pass orders on the state-owned SBI's application seeking action against UB Group promoter Vijay Mallya for defaulting on loans. The SBI leads a consortium of 17 banks that have lent money to the grounded Kingfisher Airlines. It is now in a bid to recover over 7,000 crores of dues from him. The application before the DRT seeks lenders' first right in the $75 million payout from Diageo to Vijay Mallya under a recent sweetheart deal. DRT has reserved its order after hearing the submissions made by both parties, bankers as well as Mallya, on March 4th. Mallya is also haunted by the issue of non-payment of salary to staff of the long-defunct Kingfisher Airlines. Employees in an open letter to him have accused him of damaging the image of the country, particularly the aviation industry. The letter comes days after Mallya said that the only regret he has was that the carrier was not flying when oil prices have dipped so low.
मिस्टर माल्या साहब को भी एक लेसन मिलना चाहिए कि भविष्य में कोई भी बड़ा बिजनेसमैन हो या कोई भी व्यक्ति हो किसी को इस तरह से किसी की लाइफ रूइंड ना करे. विजय माल्या साहब, he wants to being king of the sky, but he ruined the aviation.
बड़ा शायद इसीलिए बना ताकि वो ऐसा कुछ भी करे जिससे कि वो जनता को और गवर्नमेंट एजेंसीज को, टैक्स पेयर्स को, टैक्स एजेंसीज को, किसी को भी अपने तरीके से उल्लू बना सके. इसी वजह से मुझे लगता है कि उसने उसी बेसिस पे जो है किंगफिशर एयरलाइंस खोली थी.
Under fire over huge unpaid loans, Mallya said he is making efforts to reach a one-time settlement with banks through additional payments to the lenders. He denied personally being a borrower or judgment defaulter and alleged that disinformation campaign was being played to make him her poster boy of all bad loans. Mallya said in a statement, and I quote, "I have been most pained as being painted as an absconder. I have neither the intention nor any reason to abscond. I have been a non-resident for almost 28 years, and the Reserve Bank of India has acknowledged this in writing." SBI has filed 3 other applications, including one seeking Mallya's arrest and impounding of his passport, as the bank approached DRT seeking action against him for defaulting on loans. Opposition parties are now asking the government to take strict action against Mallya.
Well, why don't they lock up this Mallya fellow like they've locked up that Sahara chap? He should be made to pay his dues. Such people should not be allowed to escape the rigors of the law. After all, it is public money which they have to pay back.
लेकिन सरकार को इस आदमी को तत्काल गिरफ्तार करना चाहिए और जो मजदूरों का पैसा उसको हर तरह से उसको इससे वसूल करके देना चाहिए.
Mallya inked a deal recently with Diageo, the current controlling owner of United Spirits, that was set up by his family, but had to be sold off due to financial stress in his UB group. After a year-long boardroom battle, Mallya last month agreed to quit as chairman and director of United Spirits, while Diageo has agreed to pay him $75 million and shift base largely to the UK. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in a goodwill gesture, Pakistan released as many as 87 Indian fishermen on Sunday. Most of the prisoners had spent more than 5 months in jail after straying into Pakistan territorial waters. They will be handed over to the Indian authorities at the Wagah border today. Pakistan has decided to release as many as 173 prisoners. The remaining 86 fishermen will reportedly be set free on the 21st of March. Fishermen are frequently arrested along with their boats by both India and Pakistan, as the maritime border in the Arabian Sea is poorly defined. Many fishing boats lack the technology needed to be certain of their precise location and end up in each other's territorial waters. Meanwhile, Indian Catholic priest Father Tom Uzunel has been reportedly held hostage by the Islamic State in Yemen. He was missing since last Friday following an Islamic State attack on a care home in Aden. He hails from Kottayam district in Kerala. Now, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj tweeted the news about his abduction. Kerala Chief Minister Oommen Chandy also expressed concerns about the missing priest. India had shut down its mission in Yemen after evacuating most of its citizens last year. And now let's get you all the other international stories in this quick world wrap. Turkish and EU leaders are meeting in Brussels today for an emergency summit on tackling refugee crisis. The European Union has pledged $3.3 billion to Turkey for housing migrants to stem the flow. Meanwhile, at least 25 migrants died as their boat capsized near the Turkish resort of Didim on Sunday. They were on their way to Greece. Nearly 13,000 migrants still remain stranded on Greece's border with Macedonia. North Korea renewed its nuclear threat warnings in the wake of joint US-South Korean military exercises set to start today. It was announced in a statement by the National Defense Commission of North Korea. Expanded UN sanctions just a week before had already angered Pyongyang. At least 60 people were killed and over 70 wounded when an Islamic State truck bomb exploded at an Iraqi checkpoint in the south of Baghdad on Sunday. It's the second deadliest attack this year. Early in February, Islamic State had killed 78 people in Sadr city, a Shiite district of Baghdad. A day after being asked to quit the US presidential race, Republican candidate Marco Rubio won in Puerto Rico. Rubio bagged more than 70% of the votes with more than a half of votes counted. Rubio still trails Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. Meanwhile, Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders has been predicted the winner of Democratic caucus in May. Former First Lady Nancy Reagan passed away at her home in California. She was 94 years old. Reagan died of congestive heart failure. She will be buried next to her husband and former President Ronald Reagan at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley of California. US President Barack Obama expressed condolences, saying Reagan redefined the role of First Lady. And in good news from cricket, India knocked down Bangladesh in the finals of the Asia Cup T20 tournament. India clinched the trophy for the sixth time after beating the hosts by 8 wickets. Shikhar Dhawan and Virat Kohli's massive partnership helped India win the trophy with much ease.
Dhoni's men in blue have once again demonstrated their dominance in 2020 cricket, downing host Bangladesh by 8 wickets in the finals of the Asia Cup at the Sher-e-Bangla National Stadium in Mirpur. The match was reduced to 15 overs after being delayed for 2 hours by thunderstorm. India won the toss and chose to field first. Bangladesh managed a score of 120 runs. Shikhar Dhawan took the lead in the chase, making 60 that included 9 fours and 1 6, while Virat Kohli, not out on 41 runs, supported him ably in a 94-run stand for the second wicket. Skipper Mahendra Singh Dhoni produced late fireworks, scoring 20 off just 6 balls, including 2 sixes and a 4 to ensure India's 6th Asia Cup title.
Well, it's special because of the circumstances also. Before getting into the World Cup, now if you see the kind of performance the team has given, they'll carry a lot of confidence into the T20 World Cup.
Earlier, Bangladesh reached 120 for 5, bolstered by some forceful hitting towards the end by Mohammad Mahmudullah. Indian bowlers crushed the seemingly confident-looking Bangladesh. India found success through Ashish Nehra, who got Soumya Sarkar at 14 in the second over before young pacer Jasprit Bumrah dismissed the other opener Tamim Iqbal. This was India's 10th victory in 11 matches, an encouraging statistic ahead of the ICC World T20 this month to be played from Tuesday in India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.